Hey, I'm Kev, and welcome back to my channel. Today I've dived into Windrose, a new pirate-themed survival builder that was part of the Steam's Next Fest. I've got a few games that I wanted to play on the list that I've done some video footage for, but I figured I'd start with a pirate survivor game. Starting off with the character customization, it was decent enough. Like, there's not a huge amount of options, but there's enough to give you a unique character design. I quite liked the art style of it. The beginning of the game has your ship under attack. Break out, meet your good doctor, and take on a few of Blackbeard's pirates that are attacking your ship. Get a nice little animated scene. Well, not animated, but a little comic book scene that's quite nice, explaining the story. Apparently Blackbeard is after some kind of artifact that is on the ship. We're much cooler in the comic books than we are in the actual control of the character. And the artifact seems to imbue us with some kind of power, which we'll have to find out what that's all about when the game comes out, I would assume. We'll wind up on a deserted island, and we've got to figure out why we're still alive. Like any typical survival game, starts off with you gathering wood, stone, get your basic benches and bonfires in order. The bonfire is quite a nice touch because it works as a big area of influence around your base that governs rest bonus and allows you to get access to all of your chests. Found a smuggler's cache whilst out and about and had my first drowner encounter, which I figured it'd be a nice, easy first fight, but didn't quite go according to plan. So of course we had to go back for revenge and reclaim the few things I've gathered, which included the fast travel bell, which, spoiler alert, I did not make great use of. Get our first axe and pickaxe built, ready to get the gather grind going. Again, typical grinding of resources. Get my cooking fire set up, go kill some dodos. And a boar. Need that hide. I did like this feature, the ability to mark the map. I always wish that this was more of a thing in survival games. That you can track your own resources, but I only used it this once. Cooking works similarly to other games. Your food gives you a temporary buff to your health. Lasts a certain amount of time. Also get some stat increases. Turns out the armor bench needs a roof, so I decided now would be a good time to build my very first tiny shack. And it was a very small shack in the end. I did not put the crafting of buildings through its paces. And that's the hut done. Literally a windowless hut for my benches to go in. Have a look what we need for our first set of armor. Of course, need more hide. Make the campfire nice and cozy. I'm just taking the beach atmosphere before I need to go and gather some more stuff. This is basically how combat ended up being for me through the most part. It was just hit, slowly walk backwards. Normally wait for them to do an attack animation and then just hit again. And pretty much nearly all enemies can be defeated this way, it seems, with a couple of exceptions, or especially when you get swarmed. Finally got enough hides to build a few armor pieces, so my survivability will hopefully increase. And I'll be looking a bit more piratey and a little less shipwrecky. Decided it was time to get some copper. Very dark in here because I never refilled my lantern. On the way back, Galen had apparently found his way here. Tells us he arrived on his own little boat, which we now have access to. And then gave us some information about some ships that could potentially be repaired. So for now, I need to get set up for smelting my iron. Decided to test out the parrying on system on this boar and failed 1 out of 3 attempts, which isn't too bad, I suppose. That's the furnace and the kiln. Getting ready to start smelting. It felt a bit harsh that 1 wood equals 1 coal needed for the ore. It meant extra grind, but decided to take the ship that Galen had brought for a spin. Or the boat, I suppose, is more accurate. Just did 1 lap, basically, around the island that I started on. Just to see if there was anything there. It was night by the time I got back. It's quite nice to see Galen just sat on the log bench, just chilling. The lighting effect's quite nice. I do quite like it. Alright, we've got our weapon bench, I believe that is, built. Check out a ruin, not rune. Turns out that dodos use this ruin as a nesting ground. I was like, 1 dodo. I've handled this before. 2 dodos. That's a bit more problematic. I think I'll be okay though. 3 dodos on the other hand. I mean, the 2 dodos messed me up pretty bad, to be fair. 3 dodos I definitely didn't want to mess with, so I ran for it. Came back to see what was actually in the ruin. See the door here, so I decided to go take a peek. I'd got none of the chests available in this area at the time, so. And it was occupied by more drowners. Which for the most part, the backtracking heavy attack combo worked. I also tried to use my gun a little bit as I'd found some gunpowder at this point. Some nice whiffed attacks there. We'll get some nice plans, decorations, and upgrade material for the weapon, which I didn't realize was upgrade material because I didn't pay attention, but I used it later on anyway. Get my saber and my pistol built with the copper that we've done, as well as a new pickaxe and axe. So decided now would be a good time to go and check for the ship that we can repair. The boat itself is quite slow, so getting across these larger bodies of waters took a bit of time. Arriving at the first boat. Clearly looks like it's not going to be usable, but we'll check anyway. It's here where I found the weapon that would become the weapon I used throughout the entirety of demo that I played. A nice 2-handed, like, poleaxe looking thing. I didn't do too well with it to start with because it's a lot slower than the other weapon, but I got used to it in the end. I don't nearly die against everything I fight, honest. Just most things. Come across a camp to rescue a few pirates. It was nothing too difficult, just a few people that I just backpedaled fighting. I got my first level up at this point, which I didn't even realize the game had a leveling system because I didn't really look through the menus much. But because I was going with the 2-handed weapon, I decided that strength would be the best place for my stats. And then I went 2-handed weapons on the skill point again because I was like, yeah, I'm going to stick with this 2-handed poleaxe thing. But it's nice to see quite a big skill wheel. Plenty of build diversity there. I do wonder if you'll be able to play the game enough to maybe get everything, or if there's going to be a level cap. I would assume there'd be a level cap. again, my knowledge of this game is purely off of what I played in the demo. I don't actually know much more about it outside of this. But yeah, two-handed weapon damage. We then found the second pirate ship, which looks in much better condition. So hopefully this one is usable. And it is. We just need 100 wood, 20 nails, 20 pieces of fabric, and 10 rope to get it repaired, which doesn't sound like a lot for getting an entire ship up and running again. So I set up a second base camp here because I need to be able to create things as well as smelt, and went out on another mad gathering spree, which I'll speed up to give a rough idea of what I did to get the stuff. Plus, there's something funny about seeing a character run around at 10 times speed. Another furnace and kiln up and running. All the wood going on coal. We can actually see inside the mine this time because I'd filled my lantern at this point. I get some more copper ready for making the nails. And that is everything. We have a ship repaired, but unfortunately we need 7 pirates to help us get it in the water. So off I go to find the rest of the pirates. This is an example of how slow the boat is getting across land, the large bodies of water in the boat rather than the ship. Now bear this in mind because, like an idiot, well, you'll see soon enough, I guess. So yeah, first pirate camp. I was really disappointed with the pistol. I was kind of hoping it'd do a bit more, especially with how long it takes to reload and fire and stuff. Did the old backpedaling combat for these guys. It works quite well. Breed some more pirates. Found some of the marksman gear, which again I was kind of hoping would do more for the pistol than it actually did. With it being specifically marksman gear, I was thinking it'd be really good, but at least new threads, new me, look a bit more piratey. The game performance dropped a bit there. More backpedaling to try and fight a big group of enemies, but eventually I get caught one too many times. After a long time. I survived a lot longer than I remembered. And then this is where I internally screamed at myself because I didn't think to set a spawn point. So, back across the water. Tried to get a bit closer to the camp that I was at. So headed down a bit. Ran across island. I only got a few left, so they weren't too bad. I was able to take these guys out fine, I believe. Though at this point, I've not bothered eating or anything, because I just wanted to get these pirates rescued and get my ship. And I was like, I don't really need the food and that. I can easily just kite these people. It'll be fine. Which, for the most part, it was, I suppose. Tried and true strategy of just moving away, hit, move away, hit. And if playing Dark Souls games has taught me anything, it's the patience with that kind of combat. I went in for the final few people. The captain wasn't having any of it. And he shot me in the back. And then you might be thinking, did you remember to set a respawn point? Well, no. No, I did not. So after sailing back, we took our revenge out on the pirate captain and looted his base, and now we had all of our pirates needed to launch the ship. So we sailed back, ran cross country once again, and I thought we'd get something cool for launching our first ship, but no. No, you don't. It just... I was confused. I was like, Did I do everything? Like, the ship's still here on the beach, and it wasn't until I panned my camera that I saw it in the water. I was like, oh. So yeah, the ship's pretty cool. Doesn't look like there's much you can do with it in terms of interactivity. I do wonder how co-op works, because I don't think there's going to be like double manning a single ship. Guess maybe you'll both have your own ship. That'll be a bit skull and bones in that respect. I figured it would be best that we go back to the doctor now. Let him know that we've got the ship up and running. I figured that might have been the end of the demo, but no, we can't leave because some of Blackbeard's pirates are basically hanging around in the ocean, and the doctor needs the artifact back. So we get our ship workshop up, extend our hut a bit, get all the copper, all the wood, and all the stone we need, build the wharf so that we can actually equip all of the upgrades for the ship. We've got our broadsides, some better hull armor, and a boarding gear. Just chilled with Galen for a bit whilst I was eating, and then it was time for the pirate fight. Now, I'm not very good at these kind of pirate fighting games I've known in the past, and a lot of this fight was just down to sailing around and around in a circle. And half of the time I couldn't catch up with him. Like, maybe I needed to slow down a bit, or I don't know. I feel like I needed the anchor drift from Sea of Thieves at this point. But yeah, it did take me quite a while, and I missed more shots than I care to admit. Yeah, look, I can't even like spin fast enough. And I was slowing to get my spin around a bit more, then I was like trying to speed up, try and keep up with him, and yeah, I'm not the best at these kind of games, unfortunately. Although Black Flags I had no problem with, and Like a Dragon pirate Yakuza in Hawaii, that was a fun pirate game, to be fair. Also, I wasn't sure what the difference was with the two different ammo types. I think I tried switching between them a couple of times. Ammo type number 2 looks like the ball and chain type of ammo that would usually slow the ship down if you hit the sails and that. But I wasn't sure if that's what it was doing or not, so I just stuck to using regular cannons. And I decided that I would give the boarding a shot, see how that works. Missed my chance to board there because I accidentally sped past him. So make a U-turn and go and board. And this was a mistake on my part because I thought it had glitched. I didn't, when I first did this fight, I did not notice that it did actually have a you need to kill so many enemies next to my compass. And in my mind, I was sure that we'd killed a good 7 or 8 enemies. Obviously, watching back at the footage, I clearly didn't. But apparently the enemy pirates are much better at fighting than my pirates are, because I feel like my guys all sort of vanished and died, and I ended up getting surrounded quite easily. Yeah, it looks like there's only 2 of my guys left at this point. And that's one. We've got another one came over there to help out. But yeah, the AI doesn't do very well on my team, unfortunately. And then the few I did kill, like, more come rushing up, so the numbers just was not in my favor. My guys were dying, and eventually I do die as well. Thought it was there, to be fair, but it must be here. See, I killed like, I thought I killed 3. Oh, yeah, I did. I wanted 5, so I only needed 2 more. I was so close. I feel like I should have killed them 2 right there. I missed, walked into his attack, and then I panicked and died. And this is where I rage quit the game, not gonna lie, because I respawned. I couldn't resummon my ship, so I was like, okay, maybe I could just swim out to it. Didn't realize that you could only swim as long as you had stamina, because again, didn't notice the UI element. Died again. It wouldn't let me summon my boat either, that's why I tried to swim. But after I died, summoned my boat, decided to go back because I thought my ship would be out there since I'd boarded them and there was that there. Clearly not. jumped back on thinking maybe I could still kill them. Obviously, the countdown for how many I'd killed had gone, but I didn't notice at the time. Died again, and I was like, I'm done. Came back the following day. Now, I didn't even think about it at the time, but I realized the ship wharf is probably where I repair my ship, and obviously came back, and that was the case. So it was about now that I decided I would do a bit more building, since I'd not really messed with the building at all. So, did myself a decent-ish pier. Took a while to get things positioned without, like, snapping onto the parts I wanted, so that could do with some work. Finally built the fast travel bell, which I should have built ages ago. It'd have been nice if there was a way to get the ship to actually sort of like connect to the pier, since it's still... It gets a thing to say that it's classed as docked, but it still somewhat drifts, and it doesn't like sit next to the pier. Put a bit of decoration around just to make it a bit more thematically a pier and not just some wood floating on the ocean. And then decided I would build a new house. I won't show the entire process, because the video was long enough at this point. Started with a foundation, as you will always do. And everything snaps together quite well. But this was the house and the camp I ended with, so I'd got the upgrades to the cooking. They work in like a just build the upgrade next to it, and then the original crafting bench can now do more. Got a nice little porch. My alchemy bench and my workbenches are all there. I'd got storage under the stairs. Nice little bed area with some storage units and a few bits of decorations and stuff. I do like the lighting in the game. It looks really nice. And then, yeah, the pier with my ship somewhat docked at the end of it. I moved my ship gear building thing out onto the pier as well and put an awning over it. This time I did hit it with the chain shots first, and I feel like I kept up with it a lot better. Like, I didn't speed up this combat because it didn't take as long, I don't think. But this time round, because again, I was still under the assumption that the boarding was somewhat glitched, I decided that I wasn't going to try and board again. Yeah, the enemy ship just didn't seem to do a great deal this time around, so I don't... It had sailed also very off course. Like, the actual quest marker for where the ship was nowhere near where the ship actually was. Like, the ship was way down south from where the quest marker was. So I don't know if maybe the ship had glitched out a little bit and it was trying to sort of return to where it should be, so that's why it wasn't doing anything back. But it made for an easy fight in the end. Made great use of the front-facing cannons and whiffed that shot. That's the ship disabled, so now I think I just rock up next to it and just pelt it with a few rounds. Like I said, I didn't want to risk boarding it again because I thought it was glitching out. Gotta love the swell of the water caused me to miss that shot. That's what makes a good pirate game, when there is that interaction with the waves and stuff. And that was the end of the demo. So you can close it off there, and you can still run around, but yeah, I decided that'd be the end of it. I'd pretty much seen everything I wanted to see at this point. Release date for this is yet to be confirmed, but it's on my wish list. If you made it this far, thank you very much for watching. Let me know if there's anything you tried in the next fest and anything I should check out. Leave a comment down below. I've hopefully got more of these coming up, but I'm finding it hard to balance between work and editing and chilling and stuff, so I'll do what I can. I would love it if you hit that subscribe so you don't miss the next one, and I'll see you then. Take it easy.